Somewhere tonight, someone will drive under the sea without thinking about it. Lights overhead, a gentle slope down, then up, and they are across. A tunnel beneath a shipping lane, cars and trains passing where ships sail overhead. But here is the strange part. That tunnel was never dug. It was built on dry land, sealed shut, floated out onto the water, and then sunk to the bottom on purpose. So why would anyone build a tunnel by throwing it into the sea? The answer is a secret engineers rarely say out loud. Nobody builds underwater. Not really. Instead, they cheat in 3 brilliant ways, and they have been cheating for 200 years. The first cheat is the one under that shipping lane, and it sounds impossible. You take a hollow box of concrete, as long as 2 football fields and heavier than a small warship, and you make it float. The Øresund tunnel between Denmark and Sweden is built from 20 of these. Each one is 176 meters long, 40 wide, and weighs 55,000 tons. And yet sealed shut with steel doors and full of nothing but air, it floats like a boat. That is the whole trick. 55,000 tons of concrete riding on the surface, towed out to sea. Below, dredgers have already carved a trench in the seabed, a grave dug precisely for a highway. The floating element is guided over it, then flooded just enough until it sinks slowly onto the trench floor. Then the next one is pulled tight against it. And this is the most beautiful part. Between the 2 ends sits a single strip of rubber called a Gina gasket. Water is pumped out of the joint, and the immense pressure of the sea outside does the rest. It shoves the whole gigantic tube forward and crushes it against that rubber until the seam is watertight. The ocean seals its own tunnel. One rubber band holding back the sea, meant to last 100 years. The engineers never fought the water. They let it do the work. But some structures cannot be floated out and dropped. Bridge towers have to grow up from the riverbed itself, and for that, you need to send people down there, into the mud to build. And that is where the second cheat begins, and where it turned deadly. Picture an enormous upside-down box, open at the bottom, pressed against the riverbed. Now pump it full of compressed air. The pressure forces the water out from under the rim, and what is left inside is a pocket of dry, breathable space at the bottom of a river. The workers even had a name for it, borrowed from the French word for a great box. A caisson. Inside, men dug by lamplight, and as they dug, the whole structure sank deeper under its own weight. This is how the towers of the Brooklyn Bridge were founded in the 1870s, with men working in dry air nearly 80 feet below the surface. The structure held perfectly. The engineering was sound. The danger was something else entirely, something invisible, dissolved silently in the workers' own blood. Under that much pressure, the air you breathe changes you. Nitrogen forces its way into your blood and tissue, more with every hour. And if you climb back to the surface too fast, it comes boiling out as bubbles, tearing at your joints, your spine, your brain. The men came up hunched over in agony, bent double. And someone thought the posture looked like a fashionable stoop of the day called the Grecian bend. So they called it the bends. In 1873, a doctor gave it a colder name. Caisson disease. It did not respect rank. The bridge's own chief engineer, Washington Roebling, was struck down by it and left partly paralyzed, unable to walk the site. He directed the rest of the Brooklyn Bridge from his apartment window, watching through a telescope, while his wife Emily taught herself engineering and ran the work in his place. And it took years before anyone found the cure. In 1889, on a tunnel under the Hudson River, an engineer named Ernest Moir watched roughly 1 in 4 of his workers dying, and reasoned that if coming up too fast caused it, then putting the pressure back might undo it. He built the first recompression chamber, a steel room to add the pressure back gently and let the bubbles dissolve. It worked. One steel box turned a death sentence into a treatable condition. Which leaves the third cheat, and it is the oldest and simplest of all. Do not fight the water and do not pressurize it. Just move it out of the way. Engineers drive a ring of watertight steel walls into the riverbed, a temporary dam called a cofferdam. And then they pump the whole enclosure dry. And the bottom of a river becomes an ordinary building site, open to the sky, where you can pour a foundation with dry boots on. Sink it, pressurize it, or make the water vanish. Every tunnel and every bridge foundation you have ever crossed is one of these three tricks hidden under your wheels. And the trick is not slowing down. Right now, between Denmark and Germany, engineers are sinking the longest immersed tunnel ever built. The Fehmarnbelt tunnel will run 17.5 kilometers along the seabed, made of 89 concrete elements. Each one over 70,000 tons, each holding 2 motorways, 2 railways, and a corridor in between. The first of them was lowered onto the bottom of the Baltic in the spring of 2026. Nobody is digging it. They are casting it on land and dropping it into the sea, piece by piece. So the next time you drive down into a tunnel and the daylight disappears behind you, remember what is really above your roof. Not rock, water, gypsum. The open sea, held back by nothing but a wall of concrete that was floated here and sunk on purpose, and a single strip of rubber that the ocean itself is squeezing shut. Nobody built it underwater. That is the secret. That is exactly why it works. And you will drive straight through it dry at 70 miles an hour and never once look up.